So I'm going to talk about what I think is the next wave of what we have to deal with. And that's what people are talking about is digital transformation. And when I first started hearing about it, I was like, yeah, you know, we've been doing digital transformation forever. And I actually dismissed it. And after some time, I realized that it was something different than I thought. And people were talking about digital transformation as having train wreck after train wreck. So, I mean, this is Harvard Business Review, and they're going like, yeah, we spent 1.3 trillion on digital transformation, and 900 billion went to waste. I mean, that's intense. So we're spending a boatload of money, and it's going really badly. And people, in talking about it, keep talking about, you know, the problem is customer experience. And actually, when you hear them write about that, a lot of them are, you can even hear by the way they write about it, they don't have a clue, because they're going like, you know, people don't have the right attitude about it. But Harvard Business Review, right? And people are talking about the idea that even today, when we have the COVID thing going on and so much transition, this digital transformation stuff, it's really hot, and customer experience is really key. What the heck's going on? So what's happening is another wave of technology. So we've at the point in the last few years where, you know, we had GUI and web and mobile, and that was, we were used to working with that. And even with that, we had a lot of issues about how we made it all fit together, because there were lots of channels, right? You'd look at a bank and there's like, okay, yeah, even within those technologies, I could go to the branch and I can go to the website and I go to the call center. And all these things are different. And if you hear somebody say something like, I'm just going to do everything on every channel, it means they don't have a clue. Because you can't do everything in ATM, you can't do everything in IVR. Different channels are good for different things. And if you hear somebody say mobile first, they really don't have a clue, right? So mobile first says, yeah, I'm just going to build everything out in mobile and then I'll ripple it through. But what we've seen is, so take a bank, right? So there's some things everybody does in a bank and some things a lot of people do, but there are things that almost never happen. So now I've got a mobile device and I'm trying to cover everything in a mobile app. And so I have this big, huge app that has lots of stuff that no one can use. Because remember, as you increase the number of functions, usability goes down. And this is from 2 years of working on that for a bank. And at the end, they didn't have a real structure. It was just like, create your own structure. That's not going to create your own structure, or go into explore, or go into information, which you don't explore. I don't know. It's what a mess, right? So already with the technology we have, things are difficult in terms of where I do what. This is the UX strategy stuff. Okay, fine. But now the world has really changed. Okay. Suddenly, digital stuff is scary cheap, okay? So I can get low-cost devices, storage is insanely inexpensive. Does that change what we do? Yeah, right? We're connected. I remember when we started in India, we used to assign somebody for a day to send 1 megabyte of data to the US. And now we have, you know, 5G and high speed, and we're sitting watching Netflix. And human memory and intellectual capabilities are being augmented, right? We have AI and big data and this thing, customer data platform, which pulls all the data for a company into one place. We have advanced interactions and physical placements in terms of the way we're working with the systems ourselves, right? We have VR and AR and agents, wearables, Internet of Things. Transhumans in this case is you're a transhuman when 50% of your body weight is technology. And so this is embedded stuff. So all of that's happening. And those technologies are augmenting human capabilities. This is one that's really interesting. And I think, Apollo, are you on mute? You might want to be. So what it's doing is when I'm clicking, it's picking up really the muscle twitch, or it may be electrical. I'm not sure what they're really doing. It's a Kickstarter thing, but now I can reduce the time to click from 200 milliseconds to 120. And they're going, hey, we can play games. And I'm going, yeah, you can trade stocks too. So there's lots of these kinds of augmentations happening. And then our perception is, I mean, we're becoming like superhuman, right? Our perception is we have facial recognition. I don't have to remember everybody's name again. And drones and all of this. And our tasks are changing because the whole world is changing. So we have a virtual experience economy. Mayhem is the fact that some of these technologies are creating all kinds of almost dystopian effects, right? Do I become dependent on the technology? So this is the thing we're trying to deal with. And we as UX designers are faced with this going, what do we do with it? How do we design for it? This is our next gen problem. Now, part of that is what I talked about in the very beginning, where I said, yeah, we go and we mechanize stuff. And so people are doing that. So when they talk about digital transformation, sometimes they just mean, yeah, I automate manual activities. And that's really what's been done since it was mainframes and stuff. Yeah, that's not that interesting. But I have all those different capabilities. What do I do with them? And the key thing is we don't want to play with our tools. We want to use them. There's a tendency to go, oh, I have this thing, Internet of Things. I'm going to use that somewhere. And you see these kind of numbers like, 74% IoT projects fail and, 30% fail even when the concept stage. And so the numbers are terrible. And this is the kind of thing that's true for each of these. Like you may have seen the dash buttons that Amazon had. And, when I first saw it, it was like, wow, that's interesting. That's cool. That's a classic IoT thing. I need to reorder, soap powder or toilet paper or something. I just click the button. But they're gone. And I think if we'd done the research before and we'd modeled it systematically, we wouldn't have spent all the money building that. Because what we would find very quickly is, okay, I want to order peanut butter, but it takes $5 to do it $4.99. So approach avoidance, is it going to be worth it? And do I really want little billboards in my home, like advertising, like Meow Mix or something? Maybe not. And then it has a bunch of functional things, like I don't have control of the price. I don't see the price, which made it illegal in Germany, right? And users like finding deals. We found certain kinds of users that are like, wow, I got, toilet paper cheaper, or today I got it at all. And people don't always want to get the same brand. And there are other alternatives like subscriptions. I don't have to click at all. It just automatically delivers it. And sometimes, like if you're out of toilet paper, next day is not actually fast enough. And it's not child safe. Your kid can just pound on it, and it's not pretty. And what happens when I try to maintain it? Good grief, right? I have these little devices, if they break. So I think if we looked at it from a UX point of view systematically, we would have gone, maybe this isn't going to work. And I had a call late last night, where they're talking about using technology, it's advanced stuff, but I don't think it's going to work. We have to make it work. And there's alternatives, like we're seeing a shift. And this is actually a change. People are typing faster. Conversational speech is, in any case, faster. I was really surprised. We started with smartphones at 20 words per minute, and as a max, and now it's 85 words per minute. People's thumbs are getting faster. So we have an opportunity to go, is this really worthwhile? And now we have inbuilt replenishment things. So and for some things like a water filter, it's like, yeah, okay, I'll just automatically order it. That's kind of cool. So there is a place for Internet of Things, but we have to sort out, it's our job to sort out where it is. And there's such weird ideas like, hey, we can get Internet of Things wearables. And so here we have, you can buy underwear that's wired. And so it measures body fat and hydration, and, you know, like $350 for 8 pairs of thongs. Or a wine bottle, its whole purpose is to tell you how much wine you have left. $179. You can just look at the wine bottle, I think. Or the best one is really dental floss, where it not only measures how often used, but how many feet of dental floss you use. I don't need to know that. So our job is to deal with the question of function allocation. It's an old problem, but we guide where we use technology. And Paul Fitts in the 50s answered that question. He said, hey, I've got things that people do well and things that computers and machines do well, and let's give unto people what they do well and unto machines what they do well. And I learned this early on. Now, this is the same guy, you remember Fitz's law, and that's about movement time. This is Fitz's list, so the Fitz list. And so this is our deep history. This is the generation before me. And he's got a point. Now, recently, they've done some studies, this is just a few years ago, that say in the new technology, really people are only better at improvisation, induction, judgment, right? It's the same stuff he's talking about, and maybe I'd ask physical adaptability and enjoyment. People are better at computers at that. But, you know, we start having a question, what is our role? Do we have a useless class? Those kinds of things. Apollo is going to talk about some of that stuff. And even back then, we started having discussions like, maybe I don't just do it based on who's good at it, people or computers, but maybe I try to maximize it from an economic viewpoint. Or, and what I raised back then, which was radical at the time, is maybe what I really care about is creating a positive experience and a positive quality of life. So I don't just go, well, this is cheaper, so I'm going to have a human just do this. I go, what do I give unto humans so they have a job that's interesting? And in a sense, we are crafting a whole way of being, but we have to get involved in knowing what we want, even what kind of goals do we have. And there's lots of thinking about it. The United Nations, this sustainable development goals thing is a great way of just looking at a huge amount of work that's been done by the UN. You know, what are we trying to do as a civilization? Can we use the technology to do that? And we can use it in all kinds of environments. It's not just like at home, right? It's in workplaces. And we have to be very careful not to get so many things going on. I don't even know how to drive somewhere anymore. We're using different technologies, and we need to think about what they do. You know, have you seen how many companies go, we're doing AI, and they're not? This is Jacquard loom, right? And so this is just, it's a loom, and it makes a pattern based on this set of cutouts. Is that artificial intelligence? Because a lot of people are saying that that would be artificial intelligence. It's not. Artificial intelligence is really where the machine is doing learning, where it's taking big data and it's going, okay, I'm going to create a process of going through, seeing what's happening, making decisions based on that. And so I can decide how to assign a credit card and a credit limit using AI. But what is the objective? It might be money, like I don't want people to default. But maybe there are other things to think about, other things to optimize. So we have to use our tools where they help, where they're practical, but also where they make the kind of difference we want to make. we have to be very careful that they don't do horrible things. This is work Apollo has been working on, something called equalize filter. So if I went to you and said, yeah, we're going to give credit cards based on whether you're white or black, you would go like, yeah, you can't do that. Okay. But if I put this into an AI engine, the AI engine is potentially will go, oh, people who buy Afro Sheen shampoo, we're going to give them no credit cards, and people who use Blonde Care shampoo, we're going to give them credit cards. That's not ethical, but the AI will do it. And so we need to think about, can we say, no, I have a filter that goes, I don't make decisions based on prescribed things, ethnicity, geography, whatever it is. And then we make decisions based on things that make a difference across that. Like people who spend a lot of money on home upgrades don't default very much, no matter what ethnicity, and people who spend a lot of money on alcohol tend to. So it's our job to think about what we're doing with these technologies and how we make them work for our users, for society. We can ask a question, if I have a banking system, I have a chatbot, can AI help me there? And the answer is AI can do more than just scan X-rays and more than set credit limits. I can actually start to take all that data that I know about the user, and I have a huge amount of data, and I can start making my online experience personalized, almost like a high net worth Swiss banker would adapt to you, to their high net worth customer, based on what's going on for them and even their mood of the day. We can do that based on AI. We can even pull up different persuasion strategies, right? So we have so many different, and this is the latest job aid for the pet course. We just updated that. But I can pick which kind of persuasion methods are likely to work, driven by AI. So we can create an experience for the user that's really customized and not just like stupidly customized. And we can do really cool things with persuasion, right? This is one I'll share this and then I'll be quiet and take questions. But this is Tata Sky. We're allowed to show this. And this is the old design. This is the new design. You look at it, doesn't look very different. And I'll show you something really weird. We went from 4 steps to sign up for Dish TV to 8 steps. Now, the usability genes are twinging, but conversion went up 280%. Good God. What the heck happened? What happened is we're using persuasion methods, compliance laddering, building commitment. And so it can be that I have something that maybe violates usability, but it still sells more. And so that's pretty important. Okay, so I've talked just a little bit about that. I'll take questions. I also want to invite you. One of the things that I've been working on is programs to inform executive leaders about this field. And so if you are, if you have an aspiration to, and you're somebody who is not, I'm not wanting to be a designer, I'm wanting to be an executive in the field. We're going to open this up pretty wide. Normally it's a selected thing, but we have a session coming up, and you can go to our website, humanfactors.com, or email Jay, or I don't know, Trina, maybe we can even send people a link. And you can come to it, or you may want to invite your executive suite over, and I'll tell them what you already know. Okay, I've been prattling on, and I saved 5 minutes for taking questions.
All right, thank you, Eric. Let's do some Q&A. I see two questions in the Q&A box. If anyone hasn't noticed that yet, right, the Q&A box is a different thing over there. You can put in a question there or upvote questions that have been asked already. One question has already 3 upvotes. So Eric, are you seeing a drop in the expected response time for website and applications? I know the 100 milliseconds is the limit for something seeming instantaneous. 1,000 milliseconds is when the flow is disrupted and the user needs system feedback. But I'm wondering if those numbers have changed as phones and other consumer products have become so responsive. In recent testing, users were moving to re-click, thinking the device hadn't registered the click, at 700 to 800 milliseconds.
Yeah, so
From Derek Larson.
expectations are changing as technology changes. So, it used to be response times. We were happy to get a 1 to 2 second response time. We started screaming at 1 to 2 seconds, right? Because people would start to lose context. But the expectation of how things work is different. And that's all, again, digital transformation. The technology is different. The power, the connectivity. I'm in 5G. I expect to go click and it's done before I almost touch the screen. So absolutely, people will have an expectation. At the same time, our psychophysics is the same. So you're correct that, if I'm down in 100 milliseconds, I won't even notice it. It's automatic. And my short-term memory starts to shake over time. There still is that weird thing that if it takes a little time and I get an in progress message, I feel like it's doing a lot more work. But even that will be reduced because the amount of work you can do in 3 seconds is just scary right now.
Thank you, Eric. The next question I see here, and by the way, upvote any questions you like. So far, none have been prioritized that way of the remaining ones. Oh, wait, one just got, okay. So from Luke Miller, from your last slide, could you speak more about extending that funnel through persuasion in your team's path to that success?
Yeah, I mean, so one of the things that's key to success is having not just a mastery of the persuasion tools. So and if you've taken the PET course, that's the first part of it. The second one is which tools do I use and when? And so I came in, what I did was, and I was on that program and I said, hey, let's use compliance laddering. Let's use commitment strategy. And so putting those strategies in at the very beginning drove the program. So one of the things we want to do when we build out not our technology stack, but our customer experience stack, as we build that out, we very early want to know why the company's special and how we're going to execute the persuasion strategy. So that is really key to success, and you can see the numbers, right?
Awesome. All right. Thank you. Well, we have time for one more. So this question, how does the information architect, oops, sorry, there we are. How does the information architect / UX work with UX / UI to deliver results in your company? I think this is basically asking about, tell us about how the information architect works. Well, oh, I'm sorry, I misinterpreted this. This is saying basically how does the UI set of things, the information architect side of things work with what they're calling UI / UX, which they probably mean that kind of UI designer thing. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's a little of that, like visual designers being called UI / UX designers probably is my interpretation of this. But so then the question is, how does that information architect work with the UI / UX designer to deliver results?
Okay, and that's a great question. And the way to think about it is a slide that I stole from Noah. And so this is the career path of a UX professional. This is often the growth of a UX practice. And so you will see practices that start with, I just do detailed design and usability testing. we don't love that, but we're adding value. But you'll never end up in the boardroom doing that. It's, you're kind of a screen painter. So we drive up. And what we want to do is, as we approach a program, get the strategy right, do the innovation, get the persuasion right, structure, and then that drives down. So this is sprint zero stuff. And this is the higher level skills. So as you get better, you will move up this value chain. And, I can teach you to do, usability testing, right? Come take 2 days of training and maybe a little practice, and we're rocking and rolling. UX strategy takes a lot of sophistication. And so this is, I think, a good representation of the way our career paths go.